Hello all, welcome to my channel. I'm Vivek Gaurav and I'll be teaching you dynamic programming. And before we go ahead, a humble request from my side, please like and subscribe to my channel and please click on the bell icon so that you'll be getting notified every time a new video is coming. Now, let's get started. Today we are going to talk about introduction to Python. And the topics for today's discussion is that what is Python, what are the features of Python, what is the history of Python, and what are the applications of Python. Okay, so we are not going to do any programming today, but it is very much essential that you know what is Python, you know what are the features, you know what is the history, where it came from, what are the different versions, and the most important thing is that if you are learning Python, then you should know that what you want to do. So you should be knowing the applications of Python so that it will help you to figure it out what actually you would like to do. Okay, so please watch the complete video so that you can have a better understanding about that. So now let's start. So what is Python? So Python is a programming language we all know, and what is the programming language we already discussed in the past class, right? We already discussed. So just to revise the concept, in case you haven't watched that video, go and watch that video. It was Introduction to Coding. That will help you to understand the basic concept. But as far as Python is concerned, so Python is a general purpose, dynamic, high level interpreted programming language. Programming language, we all know that coding is all about giving instruction to computer, right? Coding is all about giving instruction to computer. And when we are giving instruction to computer, we need to use a particular language because computer does not understand our language. So we need to use some language which computer understand, and for that we use the programming language. There are different examples of programming language we discussed in the last class, like C, C++, Java, Python, right, and many more. So we are focusing on Python in this particular tutorial. Okay, so Python is a general purpose, dynamic, high level and interpreted programming language. It supports object oriented programming approach. Object oriented, which is a very important concept. OPS, right? We discussed in the last class also what are the important concepts of OPS, like class, object, inheritance, polymorphism, right? Abstraction, encapsulation. When we'll be reaching in those topics, we'll be of course dealing in these things in much more detail. But right now we are just understanding Python from in a very high level thing. Okay, so it supports object oriented approach to develop applications, and it is simple and easy to learn, provides lots of high level data structure. Okay, it is very simple and easy to learn. Easy to learn in the sense, like, most of the syntax are very much from, like, what you use in English language. That is the reason it is easy to learn. Second thing is that what is favoring Python is that Python has a huge applications. Okay, it has a huge application. It is used, right? You talk about data science, you talk about machine learning, you talk about artificial intelligence. Somewhere or the other, Python is, helping to create that. That is the reason the uses of Python has increased in the recent couple of years, right? It has increased tremendously. Okay, so Python is easy to learn yet powerful and versatile scripting language, which makes it attractive for application development. Okay, that is the reason people prefer it to for application development. And who is the founder of Python? So Guido van Rossum is known as the founder of Python programming in the year 1991. Okay, so Python came into existence in the year 1991. So we are, like, in the 30th year of Python. 30th year, this is the 30th anniversary, we can say that. Okay, so now going ahead from here, so Python syntax and dynamic typing with its interpreted nature make it an ideal language for scripting and rapid application development. Okay, now you must be wondering what is scripting application, right? Why this word scripting is coming, like in the last slide also it came, and now also it is coming. So you'll get the answer for that. Okay, you do not have to worry about, like, one of the scripting language that you might have heard of is JavaScript. The word script is there in the name of the language itself, JavaScript. Okay, so JavaScript is a scripting language. Similarly, it is Python also is used for, it is an ideal language for scripting and rapid application development. And Python supports multiple programming patterns, including object-oriented, imperative, functional, or procedural programming style. Now, there might be few terms which you are not aware of. Okay, I'll try to explain most of these terms throughout this tutorial. In case some of these things are missed, then the best thing that you can do is that, you can Google those terms and try to understand the meaning of that. What is the meaning of those words? Okay, what do they mean actually? Okay, so now Python is not intended to work in a particular area such as web programming or something. Okay, it is not for any particular thing, and that is the reason it is known as multi-purpose programming, because it can be used for web, it can be used for enterprise, it can be used for 3D CAD, etc. Now 3D CAD, those who are from, who are from mechanical background, like, who are doing their graduation in mechanical and civil, they will be knowing CAD and AutoCAD and 3D CAD. They will be having a much better understanding of that. And for students who are watching these videos, you do not have to worry about these terms. You'll be knowing these terms. You'll be exploring these terms. I'll better use this word exploring these terms in the coming time. So you do not have to worry about that. Your time will also come. Okay. So we don't need to use any data type to declare variables because it is dynamically typed. So we can directly write a is equal to 10. These things, make Python easy for a very, very, very beginner. Okay, but still, having said that, I do not prefer Python in the early stages. Reason being is that Python is completely different. Like if I talk about programming language, if I have to divide programming language, I'll keep Python on one side and I'll keep the other language on the other side, like C, C++, Java, right? C sharp I'll keep on the other side. Why? Because the syntax of Python is completely different as compared to these languages. So what happens is that once you learn Python and then you move to these languages, now you feel like, you have moved to a different, to a new world. It feels like, great, it's an alien world for you. It's an alien world for you. Okay. But if you learn C, C++, Java becomes very easy for you. C sharp becomes very easy for you. And when you come back to Python, yes, it is going to be different. But by that time, you have understood much more detail and you have known a wide variety of things. Okay. So yes, of course, no doubt that, students are also learning Python. But if you will listen to me and if you will, go with my understanding, okay, I started my journey with C and I learned Python in 3 days because by that time I was already knowing 10, 12 languages. So Python was like, just icing on the cake. It was just like that. It was so easy and so simple and so vast application. So I learned Python in very quickly. Okay, but you're starting your journey with Python, nothing to worry about. I always say that you learn one programming language in detail, and rest everything is going to be very easy. How it is different? The different is all about the syntax, like the brackets, right? In Python, there is no curly bracket, there is no semicolon, right? All these concepts are not there in Python, but in this programming language, you will come across these things, okay? So that's the reason we categorize them into one category and Python comes in a different category altogether. So like for data type also, you do not have to declare a data type. It is dynamically typed. Okay, as you can see here, dynamically typed. For like, in C, you write int a is equal to 10. But in Java, in Python, you directly write a is equal to 10. Compile, computer will automatically understand about a. You have given a 10 value, so it becomes an integer. This is how it works. Right. So now we'll focus on Python. We'll not talk about other languages, but from time to time I'll try to give you a comparison so that you can, draw a picture. And if you have starting your journey with Python, then you know that how the different programming languages are going to differ in terms of syntax, in terms of, in terms of the other things. Okay. So we don't need to use any data type to declare variable because it is dynamically typed. So we can write a is equal to 10 to assign an integer value in an integer variable. Okay. And Python makes the development and debugging fast because there is no compilation setup included in Python development. Okay, so there is no compilation step included. Okay, so there is no compiler here. It is interpreted. As you saw here, like, as you saw here, it is interpreted. Somewhere it was written with its interpreted nature. Okay, interpreted nature makes it an ideal language. Now that interpreted does not mean it is it is from the interpreter point of view. But here we saw that there is no compilation step included in Python development, and edit test debug cycle is very fast. Okay, so edit test debug cycle is very fast in Python. Now of course these are like, if you have just starting your journey of coding languages, then you do not have to worry about these terms. With time you will automatically understand. Okay, with time you will automatically understand. So for that you can just ignore that part what we have talked about. In case a professional or someone who is already known, has learned a lot of programming language, you are watching that, then you know what I'm talking about. Right. So now Python 2 versus Python 3, right? Some people just know this word Python, they do not know about this, the what do you say, the suffix of that is 3. Okay, so what we are learning now is Python 3. Okay, the previous version was Python 2. So how it is different, let us see that. So in most of the programming language, whenever a new version releases, it supports the features and syntax of the existing version of the language. Okay, it always supports the previous thing also. Therefore it is easier for the project to switch to the newer version, so that you do not have to make a lot of changes. You make a minimal changes and your application will still work. However, in the case of Python, the two versions, Python 2 and Python 3, are very much different from each other. They are very much different. Just to give an example here, like one example I have pointed out, Python 2 uses print. Okay, Python 2 uses print as a statement. So when you're using print as a statement, you directly write print, and then within the inverted comma you write hello. So hello will get printed. But in Python 3, what happens is that in Python 3 you use print as a function. So when you use print as a function, then that round bracket automatically come into picture, right? Round bracket automatically come into picture. So now you see the difference here. You are just using print hello. There was no bracket involved because it was a statement. This was a statement, right? This was a statement. But here in Python 3, here you can see this round bracket is coming into picture. Why? Because it is a function, right? So this is a major difference, right? This is a major difference. And like that, there are many other differences as well. I am not going into much detail of that. What are the difference, right? In case you are an experienced person, then you'll automatically find out or figure it out what were the difference between Python 2 and Python 3. Okay, I'll just to tell you a story about my journey. So when I was there in working for Bank of America, okay, so .NET, .NET framework, that time .NET framework 4.0 and 4.5, this was the update. So what were the new features in .NET framework 4.5 which was there? We need to know that. Okay, we need to know that, so that we can use those features. We can use those features in the application that we were making, right? At the same point of time, what features were not supported, we need to be aware of, so that we can remove that from the code, which were the existing code. Okay, so if you are a developer, and then you need to know this difference. Otherwise, you do not have to worry about a lot of things. One example is more than enough just to cite that the Python 2 and Python 3 were completely different. So now going ahead from here, talking about the features. So Python provides many useful features which makes it popular and valuable from the other programming language. There is a lot of features, lots and lots and lots of features. Okay, it supports object-oriented programming. It is procedural programming approaches and provide dynamic memory allocation, right? What is dynamic memory allocation? If we'll talk about dynamic memory allocation, just to give you a brief idea about dynamic memory allocation, which is also called as DMA. Okay, so we all know that when you are using certain variables, right, you need to create those things at like you need to occupy those spaces in the memory of the computer, right? And sometimes it becomes really difficult to be aware of that how many such variables are going you're going to encounter, right? So dynamic memory allocation allow you that feature that you can allocate the memory while running the program. While the program is running also, then also you can allocate, you can allocate the memory. So that is called dynamic memory allocation. So we have listed a few essential features of Python. So let us have a look at each one of them. Easy to learn and use. We already, pointed that out. So Python is easy to learn as compared to other programming languages. Its syntax is straightforward and much the same as the English language. That is the reason the students enjoy Python a lot. At the same point of time, Python has a lot of library like Pygame, where they can make games. So all the kids, right, they enjoy Python a lot. Okay, so Python is easy to learn and use, and there is no use of semicolon, curly bracket, right? There is no use of such things. The only thing is that the indentation. So the indentation defines the code block. So here in Python, what you have to do is that if you want to make something a block, like let's suppose I am writing if condition. So if I'll write a greater than b, and then I give a colon here, and then automatically when I press enter, the line will start from here. It will not start from here, it will start from here. So this space is called indentation. Okay, this space is called indentation. When we'll start programming, that time you'll automatically understand, but just to make you aware of these things now itself, so that is called indentation. So that defines the block. So all those lines of code which follow this indentation will automatically become part of this if, right? In C++, that we do it with curly bracket, right? Or in Java also, but in Python there is no such curly bracket or semicolon or something, so it becomes very easy. You do not forget, that you forget a semicolon, you will get an error. In Python you won't, because there is no concept of semicolon itself. Okay, so it is recommended programming language for beginners. Okay, but I said you why I do not recommend it. Reason being is that when you make your journey from Python to other languages, you find yourself in an alien world. I do not want you to do that. Okay, it is an expressive language. Why it is an expressive language? Python can perform complex tasks using a few lines of code. I do agree with that. This is my personal experience that, I was doing certain coding, and in C++, it was taking me, let's suppose, 20, 25 lines of code. Python was able to do it in, 4 to 5 lines of code. Okay, so simple, like, like, just take an example. In order to print hello world in other programming language, C++, you will take minimum of 5 to 6 lines, but in Python, it is just one line. Okay, so Python can perform complex tasks using a few lines of code. A simple example, the hello world perform, program. You simply type print hello world, and hello world will be there in the output screen. So it will take only one line to execute, while Java or C take multiple lines. Okay, that's why it is an expressive language, and it makes your task easier. Going ahead from here, it is interpreted language. So now you were wondering about, like, if it is that there is no compiler, then what it is there. So of course the obvious answer was interpreted. Okay, it was interpreted. So Python is an interpreted language. It means the Python program is executed one line at a time. Okay, it is executed one line at a time. Now you will be thinking, like, that if like in the last program, in the last video you said, sir, like interpreter is something which is slow, compiler is fast, then how Python is fast, right? You must be having that question. In case you didn't have that question, then you must have that question. So the advantage of being interpreted language, it makes debugging easy and portable. Okay, but how it is faster, you will get the answer of that. Don't worry, just stay with us, you will get the answer of your question. So Python is an interpreted language. It means the Python program is executed one line at a time, and the advantage of being interpreted language, it makes debugging easy and portable. Okay, cross-platform language. Python can run equally on different platforms such as Windows, Linux, Unix, and Macintosh, etc. So we can say that Python is a portable language, and it is across platform, not dependent on any particular platform. Like, it will run only on Windows and not on Mac, or something like that, or on Linux, nothing like that. It will run everywhere. Okay, so it enables programmer to develop the software for several competing platforms by writing a program only once. You do not have to write it for Windows separately, you do not have to write it for Mac separately, you do not have to write it for Linux separately. You write one program, okay, and that will run on Windows, that will run on Mac, that will run on Linux. Why? Because they all support Python. Okay, so now going ahead, free and open source. Yes, that's the best part about it. So Python is freely available for everyone. It is freely available on its official website, www.python.org. This is the official website of Python, and it has a large community across the world that is dedicatedly working towards making new Python modules and function. Right, there are n number of, modules, libraries, and all those things. We'll be using it, in couple of more videos we'll start using them. Do not worry about that. So anyone can contribute to the Python community. Even you and me also can communicate, right? And I would like you all to learn Python and then communicate to this Python library so that it becomes easier for the next generation. So the open source means anyone can download its source code without paying any penny, any single penny. You do not have to pay a single penny for that. Okay, next is object oriented. So Python supports object oriented language, and concepts of classes and objects come into existence. We know that when we talk about OOPS, there are few things which automatically comes into our mind. One is class, the other is object, right? Then we have abstraction, then we have encapsulation, then we have encapsulation, and then what we have is that we have inheritance and polymorphism, right? We have inheritance, and then we have polymorphism. Okay, so these are the concepts which are there in object oriented programming language. So Python supports object oriented programming language, and concept of classes and object come into existence, and it supports inheritance, polymorphism, and encapsulation, etc. The object oriented procedure helps to, programmer to write reusable code and develop application in less code. Reusable means it can be reused. Okay, reusable, you already know this word reusable, right? We are talking about so much about this, right? That's the reason we are, we want to, make plastic reusable, so that, first of all first of all, we should, avoid the uses of plastic, though it's a completely irrelevant topic here. But of course, we should support nature, and for that we should make sure that we are reusing it, we are not dumping it after a single use, and we just try to make sure that we are not polluting them. Okay, now coming about talking about the further things. So extensible. Extensible means that it implies the other language such as C, C++ can be used to compile the code, and thus it can be used further in our Python code. So it converts the program into bytecode, and any platform can use that bytecode. Okay, so it means it is extensible. So another point that you can add with extensible is that like, if you can keep on adding, new things to it. If you can keep on adding new things to it, so it never becomes obsolete. It never becomes obsolete. You can keep on adding new things to it, so it is never becoming old. It is always new. Okay, so extensible here, it implies that other languages such as C++ can be used to compile the code, and thus it can be used further in our Python code. Okay, it can be further used into our Python code also. So it converts the program into bytecode, and any platform can use that bytecode. Talking about large standard library, so it provides a vast range of libraries for the various fields such as machine learning, web developer, and also for scripting. And there are various machine learning libraries such as TensorFlow, Pandas, NumPy, Keras, PyTorch, etc. Django, you must have heard this word, Flask. Pyramids are the popular framework for Python web development. So it becomes the task, it makes your task very easy, and you can make a beautiful website with, with Python web applications with Python. Okay. So now GUI programming support. So graphical user interface, GUI is for graphical user interface, is used for the developing desktop application like PyQt5, Tkinter, Kiwi are the libraries which are used for developing the web application. Next feature is that it is integrated. It can be easily integrated with languages such as C++, Java, etc. And Python runs code line by line like C++, Java, and it makes easy to debug. Okay, it makes it easy to debug, so it can be easily integrated with the other languages also. Okay, now coming here, embeddable. So it means what? The code of the other programming languages can use in the Python source code. We can use the code of other programming languages in the Python source code, and we can use Python source code in other programming languages as well. So it can embed other languages into our code. Okay. Next, we were talking about dynamic memory allocation. So in Python, we don't need to specify the data type of the variable. When we assign some value to the variable, it automatically allocates the memory to the variable at runtime. This is what I was talking about. It automatically allocates the memory to the variable at the runtime. Okay, so you do not have to do it explicitly at the beginning of the program. Okay, so we do not have to write int x is equal to 15. We just write x is equal to 15, and since at the runtime it figures it out that okay, x is having 15, so x automatically becomes an integer. Okay, this is how it works. Now talking about the history of Python. So Python has a long history. Okay, so Python laid its foundation in the late 1980s. Okay, though it came in the year 1991. Okay, see, February 1991 it came. Okay, but it started way back in the year 1990s. So the implementation of Python was started in December 1989 by Guido van Rossum at CWI in Netherlands. And in February 1991, that was the year when Python came into existence, Guido van Rossum published the code to alt.sources. Okay, and in 1994 Python 1.0 was released with new features like lambda, map, filter, and reduce. These were the new features which got added in the first version of that. And sorry, Python 2.0 added new features such as list comprehension, garbage collection systems, etc. Okay, and then in December 2008, Python 3.0, which is also called as py3k, was released, and it was designed to rectify the fundamental flaw of the language. And ABC programming language is said to be the predecessor of the Python language, which was capable of exception handling and interfacing with the Amoeba operating system. You do not have to know that much in detail, but I'm just trying to give you everything which I could gather, right, so that you have enough idea about it. So now you know when was the first version. First version came in the year 1994, right? Then we had, what was the second version? Second version, Python 2.0 added new feature. We did not specify the date over here, but Python 3.0 came in the year 2008. Okay, it came in the year 2008. So the following programming language influences Python, which is ABC language and Modular 3. These are the two languages which influence Python a lot. Now, talking about why the name Python, this is a very interesting question. I always come across this. Most of the time, student, say like, Python has the name from the snake, but there is no such thing. Okay, so there is a fact behind choosing the name Python. So Guido van Rossum was reading the script of a popular BBC comedy series, which was Monty Python's Flying Circus. Okay, Monty Python's Flying Circus. That was the comedy series. It was late on air 1970s. And when Rossum wanted to select a name which was unique, short, and little bit mysterious, right? Little bit mysterious. He wanted to create something which has a mysterious, which was not common. So he decided to select the name Python after the Monty Python's Flying Circus. It has nothing to do with the snake Python. Okay, it has nothing to do with the snake python. There was a meme which I was seeing yesterday. One of the students joined in the Telegram group. What he said is that, there was a snake which was in the CPU, and then he was, coming out like this, and it was written like, Python installation successfully done. Okay, so make sure that you do not do any such thing, and Python has nothing to do with the name, with the snake. Okay. So now talking about the vast application of Python. So Python is known for its general purpose nature that makes it applicable in almost every domain of software development, and Python makes its presence in every emerging field. And it is the fastest growing programming language and can develop any application. Okay, it can develop any kind of application. So now you can see web application, desktop GUI application, console based application, software development, scientific and numeric, business application, audio video, 3D CAD, enterprise, image processing. What is left? What is left? There is nothing left. It covered almost everything. Okay, so let us try to understand in each of one of them. Okay, web application. So we can use Python to develop web application. It provides libraries to handle internet protocols such as HTML, XML, JSON, email processing, request, beautiful soap, feed parser, etc. And one of the Python framework, Django, is used on Instagram. See, all of you must be using Instagram, right? So Django is used for that. Okay, Django, that is the framework that has been used to develop Instagram. Okay, so Python provide many useful framework, and these are given below. Django and Pyramid framework used for heavy application. We have Flask and Bottle for micro framework, and Plone and Django CMS for advanced content management. So there is a lot of framework available which makes your task a bit easier. Okay, of course you have to do coding, but not to that extent. Okay, desktop GUI application, which is graphical user interface. So GUI stands for graphical user interface, which provides a smooth interaction to any application, and Python provides a tk GUI, which is Tkinter library, to develop a user interface. Some popular GUI libraries are Tkinter or TK, as I already mentioned. Then we have widget M, then we have Kiwi, then we have PyQt or PySide. So these are the libraries which can help you to make, GUI application. Of course, it's a long journey to reach over there, but a journey of 1,000 miles, start with a single step. So at least if you are watching this video, you have taken that single step towards that, journey of 1,000 miles, right? Towards that journey of 1,000 miles. So have a pat on your back. Congratulations for starting this journey. Okay, congratulations to all of you that you are here finally. Now, console-based applications. So console-based applications run from the command line or shell prompt. Okay, command line, command prompt or shell prompt. So these applications are computer programs which are used command to execute, which are used commands to execute. And these kind of applications was more popular in the old generation of computer, right? I really doubt that some of you might have opened command prompt also and try to do something, but what you do is that press Windows plus R, this is you press, and then you'll be getting a run box, and there you write CMD and press enter. You will be getting into command prompt. Okay, and just try to see if you can write any of the command over there. Okay, so command prompt. Okay, so it was used in the previous version, older generation of the computer. So Python can develop this kind of application very effectively, and it is famous for having REPL, which means the read eval print loop. Okay, that makes it the most suitable language for command line application. Read eval print loop, REPL, read eval print loop. Okay, REPL. So Python provides many free libraries or modules which help to build the command line apps. The necessary IO input output libraries are used to read and write, and it helps to parse argument and create console help text out of the box. There are also advanced libraries that can develop independent console apps. Okay, now talking about software development, which you must be interested about. So Python is useful for the software development process, and it works as a support language and can be used to build control and management testing, etc. So you can make a complete software development with that. Like SCONS is used to build control, build boot, and Apache Gums are used for automated continuous compilation and testing, and then round and track of bug tracking and project management. I always get this request, that they want to learn Python because they want to automate, or they want to, make some automation testing, right? So for that they want to learn Python. So there are a lot of applications for that as well. Now, scientific and numeric. So this is the era of artificial intelligence. We all know that where the machine can perform the task and the same as the humans do, right? And Python language is the most suitable language for artificial intelligence or machine learning. As I said in the beginning itself, Python is the most suitable language for that. Of course, the other programming languages are, right? But Python is, is preferred most of the time. So it consists of many scientific and mathematical libraries which make easy to solve complex calculation. Like implementing machine learning algorithm require complex mathematical calculation. So Python has many libraries for scientific and numeric such as NumPy, Panda. You might have heard at least these two. These are very, very much used. NumPy, Panda, right? Skippy, Scikit-learn, etc. And if you have some basic knowledge of Python, you need to import libraries on the top of the code, and then you can start working. So very few popular way framework are, SciPy and Scikit-learn, NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, right? This is basically used to, draw graphs. You just use certain command, it will draw the graph for you. Okay, so it makes the things very easy. It makes the things very easy for you. So now business application. So Python application differ from standard application. E-commerce, ERP are an example of business application where you have end-to-end thing. ERP, enterprise resource planning. E-commerce, you already know, Amazon, Flipkart, these are the example of that, right? So this kind of application requires extensively scalability, readability, and Python provides all these features. What else do you need? Odoo is an example of the all-in-one Python-based application which offers a range of business application, and Python provides a Triton platform which is used to develop the business applications. It provides you that as well. Okay, audio or video-based application. So Python is flexible to perform multiple tasks and can be used to create multimedia application. And some multimedia applications which are made using Python are TimPlayer, CPlay, etc. Like there are other examples. Multimedia libraries are GStreamer, Piglet, Qt right? These are the examples of multimedia. And then talking about 3D CAD applications, so CA's computer aided design is used to design engineering related architecture, as I was talking about, like mechanical and civil engineers will be very much interested in that, right? So it is used for that as well. It is used to develop the 3D representation of a part of a system, and Python can create a 3D CAD application using the following functionality: Fandango, CamWorks, Heeks CNC, AnyCAD, RCam. What else do you have? What else are you looking for? It has everything. Enterprise applications. So Python can be used to create application that can be used within an enterprise or an organization. Some real-time applications are OpenERP, Triton, Picalo, etc. These are the some real-time applications which are available. Talking about image processing, so Python contain many libraries that are used to work with the image. Okay, image processing is very important in the current time also. So the image can be manipulated according to our requirements. Some libraries of image processing are OpenCV, Pillow, Simple, ITK. These are the some libraries of image processing. And that's all, right? That's all that we had. So we covered so many things, right? Of course there were a lot of things which was from the theory point of view, but of course it is going to give you a better idea, better understanding about what Python is, what was the history of Python, right? And how to go ahead with the things. So in case, make a note of that, make a small note so that even if you go ahead, it is going to help you out. So thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, and comment in case you want to know few other things. Thank you so much.